as I was just saying to some clients actually, yesterday I was walking home from work and I just wanted to eat a cookie. And I felt this feeling that wasn't very nice. And I was like, do I eat the cookie or not? And I started to think, oh, I shouldn't do that. I can't do that because I'm trying to eat healthy at the moment. And then I noticed it. I noticed that it was a feeling of deprivation, and I reframed it. And I realized actually I can go and eat that cookie if I want. I can do whatever I want. And it was so liberating and I felt so free. And then I just carried on and I didn't go and buy the cookie. I didn't eat that unhealthy food, but that's not really the point. The point is that I could have done if I wanted to, because it is a choice. And that's what deprivation thinking is all about. And that's why we want to really get this message across to people, is that it is a choice. You can engage in this compulsive behavior.
So everything out there teaches you try to avoid that wanting, right? But the thing is as we've talked about, you can't avoid the wanting. But right now, when people, they try to deny that they want to stop because they don't know what to do with the wanting. So in the beginning of the program, yeah, you're going to want to do it and you're going to engage in it because you don't know what else to do. But it's basically just that acknowledging that dilemma and stop trying to deny the fact that you want to stop, because that's what you'll do. You don't know what to do with the wanting. So it'll be like, oh, well, it's not really that bad. Maybe I'll just look at the porn, once a week or just on the weekends, or maybe all this it's not that bad. But then that catches up with you, and it's like, no. And you're doing it all the time. And it's like, oh, no, I really am not happy doing this. So then you try to deny the wanting, right? You go back and forth between trying to deny one or the other when they're both true. So in the beginning phase of this, from phase one, it's just a matter of acknowledging the fact that you want two things that are mutually exclusive. You want to do it and you want to stop, and you're not going to get free of it by trying to deny one or the other. So in the beginning, it's just a matter of, recognizing that you have a dilemma. It's a solvable dilemma, but not by trying to deny one of the two realities. They're both real.
Well, the thing is, in this situation in particular, because obviously this program applies to all compulsions, but like for me, as somebody who has struggled for such a long time, or at least did struggle in the past, I'd say I'm through it now. But what I struggled with was quitting porn. And when it comes to quitting porn, a lot of people are trying to deny their reality of choice, because they're putting these blockers in place, or they're deleting social media, or they're going to distract themselves, or meditate, or go to the gym, or get into self-development. And that's what a lot of content nowadays talks about. It's all about go and do this instead, replace the habits. And there's even books like Atomic Habits by James Clear, which is a really good book for habits. But when it comes to addiction, it's not necessarily going to help very much, because what we're doing here is we're basically removing the triggers, and the triggers create the cravings. But if you're removing all the triggers, then you might feel like you're making progress and you're doing well because you're feeling the cravings less. But then when that craving comes along, you're straight back to it because you're denying the reality of your choice. So in that moment when you have the craving, you're not really free because you're still compelled to look at it and you don't have a specific tool to deal with it. And so basically what we want to do is probably remove all of those restrictions and conditions that we have in place to try prevent us from feeling the urges. Because if we, get rid of the blockers and maybe reinstall social media if we want it, but I'm obviously not saying that's a good idea, because social media could be very harmful. But the point is, we don't put any conditions in place to try and quit. Instead, we want to be truly free. And that comes from actually having a choice and realizing the reality of addiction.
And this whole idea of avoiding triggers is just, it's kind of nonsense. Really, it's nonsense, because the triggers, there may be external things that are going to trigger you, but triggers are going to happen inside the brain, internally, as long as you have your brain wired from that compulsive desire to acting on it. It just is going to come up. It's not some big external thing or some, way of life that you have that you're going to avoid. So you won't have triggers anymore. They're just going to happen. So it's nonsense. And that's why we want to let the triggers happen. Well, because you can't stop them from happening. It's like the one guy who's having them in the middle of the night that we talked about earlier. It's like you can't avoid triggers. They're going to happen to you until you rewire it. So that's where we have fact one coming in. Acknowledge I've been triggered. I'm having a compulsive desire right now. This is happening to me right now. And with that basic dilemma, that's where people are going to go, oh, no, not the trigger. Get me away from that desire. No, the desire is your friend. It is your opportunity.